Hello. Let's
Hello.
switch this. All right. How do we look?
You
You
look
look.
great.
Oh, I was going to say you look gorgeous. Your
I just
hair,
came
the
back from the
color.
beauty parlor. I went to the salon this afternoon. So
That's a nice thing. One of the I'll go back soon. I need to find a new one. But
yeah.
first off, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me tonight and taking up on not even on the clock hours. So,
Thank
as you
you, Dara. Thank you for what
for
you have
what?
done for our industry.
Oh,
Wow.
well,
Yeah.
I'm not here. This is all about you guys this month. I am here to promote you and show my appreciation to all of you guys as my instructors, as our educators in the industry, and just the leaps and bounds we have come with the school in the last year could not have
Yeah.
happened without all of you. So,
For you.
first off, I am going to introduce everyone who is watching. We are live tonight and we're live on 5 platforms. Not our normal, but I just wanted to take a moment to introduce Jennifer Bishop Jenkins. I think most of you know her. I called it. You are the queen of coat types.
Yeah. You know, I
That
I
is your
I'm proud.
stance.
I'm proud to make it's nothing that every dog show person doesn't already know. But it's so wonderful that I've been able to help promote doing what's right by each individual dog in an industry that hasn't always done that. So
Yes, yes. So let's start. We know if you why don't tell us you know what I'm interested to know is what was it that got you into wanting to go and this passion for um the history of dogs and the history of the coats and
mhm.
what got you what
Yeah.
drives you?
So the history
I'm
and
going to drink
science of
my
dogs
pause
really is my fun specialty. I mean, it really just it's my whole life. Basically, I majored in history and then got a master's degree and then taught high school history for 30 years. And I also taught environmental science and earth science, and I had a minor in science in college. And I'd been raised with German Shepherds. And when I was 20 and first got married and first lived on my own as an adult, I went out and got my own German Shepherd, but the only one available was a show dog. So in order to get this puppy, I had to agree to show it. And I didn't know anything about dog shows and kind of fell into dog shows and liked it, and then saw other breeds that I really liked, cockers, poodles, things that I had to learn to cut hair. And so I would get those dog show people to show me how to groom my own dogs.
Yeah.
And by the time that I was like in 23, 24 years old, I was already grooming on weekends and summers and holidays because teachers don't get paid very much, and so I was doing it for great side income while I was showing dogs and just so. But history as a field has always been my academic area of study. I have a
Mhm.
master's degree in history and another graduate degree in
Anything in
education.
particular of any particular time frame just
I
out of
yeah, so I mean, my expertise in my undergraduate was medieval history, which
okay.
actually is
So
very
you and
interesting in
Chrissy
terms
have
of
a lot
um,
of
medieval
common with that.
European. Yep.
Mhm.
And my graduate area of expertise was colonial, the European settlement of. I mean, I studied all periods and have taught globally in terms of history, but I was very interested in the colonial settlement with the Europeans coming to the United States.
Mhm.
But I've also had a sort of an academic approach to history that is looking at big picture, looking at trends, looking at overarching changes. Like I have a strong sense of an awareness right now during the pandemic of this extraordinary time in history that we are living now.
Mhm.
What's going to change about our world because of it. I'm always interested in those sort of larger questions of history. Some people call it in the field academically historiography, where I'm actually looking at the patterns in history. And of
Mhm.
course, a huge pattern in human historical
Yeah.
development is the rapport and the coevolution with dogs. It's absolutely fascinating. So as a
You can
dog person,
probably put horses right next to it.
I think you're right. Yeah. Now
Yeah.
I will say that dogs and humans are actually biologically co-evolved, and I know with horses they're not. But in terms of the impact that the horse
Mhm.
has had on
On our civilization.
agriculture,
Yeah.
economy,
Yeah.
travel, transportation, I mean, the horse changed a lot. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
no doubt. I put it right, right behind the dog.
You
But
know
there is
that's my
actual
game, so
yeah. I mean, there's actual evidence that the dog not only is co-evolved physically, I mean, we actually have parts of our brains that are actually been proved under MRIs to connect to each other, and we get oxytocin hits when we look in each other's eyes and stuff. That doesn't happen outside our own species, except with dogs.
Hmm,
So there's
interesting.
all sorts of neurobiology to it, but and it's really scientifically the only co-evolved species. But there's also some critical points in history where the dog may be responsible for our survival. At least two times in human history, the human species might have gone, you know, and if it weren't for dogs, they wouldn't have made it. So, and one of
So
them is the
interesting. Where I know sorry, I'm looking for my pen to write down
one of them
notes.
is at the end of the
So,
Ice Age, and the other one
okay.
is during the bubonic plague. But yeah,
I was just about to ask. So is that and I'm getting a little ahead here, but part of your four-part course is that one of the areas that you talk about and teach
yes,
on? Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
we look
That's
at
interesting. Yeah.
sort of critical evolutionary periods where the dog's relationship with human beings actually intervenes. And it's part of when we say a canine science degree, which we're getting with whole pet, we're also looking at a lot of the historical science as well, and what actually happened biologically and physically on the planet and with the dogs, and how they adapted in order to help us to thrive, which is
Yeah.
quite amazing. And I think the
Very
best
cool.
part about this, I mean, it's interesting for grooming. There's a lot that goes into the coat types that evolves over time to functionality, to the
Yeah.
roles that different dogs played at different geographic locations. But in the end, I think the best part about learning the science and history stuff is a deep, deep appreciation for this extraordinary privilege that we have when we groom
Yeah.
dogs to be caretakers for a species that's so incredibly important. It uplifts the nobility and the importance of our profession.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that because I interviewed Latifa yesterday,
Mhm.
and she kind of said on the same spectrum of that was, wow, it's just so neat that
Yeah.
they allow us to be
Yes, to do
so
this to them. Yeah.
involved and so
It's
much a
intimate.
part of our life.
Grooming
Yeah,
grooming is intimate.
it is.
and
Yeah.
it is it's a natural thing. They do the same thing. I don't know if your dogs have ever done this to you, but mine do it to me. If I've got an ouchie boo boo, I cut a scratch,
Yeah.
they sniff it and they lick it and they want to,
Yeah,
they
they're
want to.
looking at it like, "What's
Yeah,
wrong?" Or when you're s
yeah,
oh gosh, if I'm in bed when I'm sick, they don't leave
I
my
know, they
side.
lay down by
They
you and
are,
they just,
like,
yeah,
as close as possible to me. Now, I can't say that
absolutely.
about the cat. He's like, "I'm outta here." He's like, "You guys are gross. I'm outta here." Totally different creatures for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So
You want to hear my favorite short joke about the difference between dogs and cats? The
sure.
dog says, "You feed me. You take me on walks. You take me to the vet. I get to sleep with you. You must be God." And the
Mm,
cat says, "You feed me. You clean my litter box. You take me to the vet. I must be God."
I must be God, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Well,
mean,
that's the difference
when you
between
look
dogs
back
and cats. Yeah.
to their history,
Yes.
they were
They were
raised
gods.
as
Yes.
gods.
That's right.
So,
Yes. Yep.
You should one of the stories Latifa told yesterday, she was talking with a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel who in one of his past lifetimes apparently was a king and thought that coming back as a cavvy, he was gonna be a king again.
Of course. Sitting on the throne of your lap, which is what
Yes.
Cavaliers love to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you okay, so I know you're going through all and you're showing and competing and you've been on and off again in the industry. Um and kind of just
Yeah.
I'd
I
say
actually
what in the
got my
last
master groomer in 1985,
oh 85.
which
Okay. So it's been a long
which
time,
was
but
because I was teaching
oh,
high school in San Antonio, and Patsy Edmondson, who ran a grooming school, I was just working
yep.
there on weekends, and she said, "Oh, we got to all go out and do this new thing called Master Groomer," and it was brand new. Pam
Mm.
Lauritsen started it and Master Groomer to us.
And I just learned I was talking with Pam yesterday. She was the first
Yeah, she's the first to do
certified
certification.
master groomer in the world.
Yep. And she was the one who really there are several people that worked early on in those years in the early 80s to really promote this idea of self-credentialing, just the same way that certified public accountants do and lawyers do and doctors do. You can go to med school and get a medical degree, but until you sit for your boards in front of these
Yeah,
other doctors, you're not a practicing doctor. And you can
right.
go to law school and get a JD degree, but if you don't pass the bar from other lawyers approving you, you don't practice law. And it's the same thing. It's this
Yeah.
idea that inside our own field of expertise, the masters in our field are going to set the criteria within the expertise of the field for what is the best of the best. Yeah.
Best. Yeah. Yeah. So, where did this teaching passion come from?
So, I was in high school. I was a stray student. I was one of those geeky. I just was always.
I
my
was too.
mother, my mother was very theatrical, and I was
Yes.
on stage early on, singing and performing. So I was comfortable talking in front of people, and I could get up and talk freely in front of people, and I was pretty smart. And then I did speech and debate in high school and college. And then you're competing and going to speech tournaments. And I did drama and speech and debate. And I played Golden Fiddler on the Roof and all of this. So I had a lot of comfort level being up in front. I didn't get nervous in front of people.
Yeah.
And so when I then fell in love with history as a field and got my degrees in that, I mean, what does one do with a history degree except teach?
Teach.
That
Yeah.
was it.
Without
So,
using it for yourself. Yeah. So that
yeah.
makes sense. Um, so for everything that you've been learning beside and getting involved in the industry, who are some of your mentors?
In the grooming industry, well, besides you, Dara,
Yeah, I
I think
we
one of
are
the
associates.
yes. I mean, so I didn't, I never groomed full time ever until until 2014. I mean, I
That's where
was
I was
in my
getting at
late
earlier.
50s
Yep,
before I groomed full time.
full
I
time.
was a grooming dabbler. I was a master groomer. Yes. I taught in grooming schools when I wasn't teaching high school and so on. But I never full time had my own salon and did it full time until I'm 57 years old and, retired from teaching, and I had a daughter that wanted to learn to groom. So I opened a salon in suburban Chicago, Love for Dogs. And I think that my earliest mentors, besides Pam Lauritsen, who,
Mhm.
mm, mm, mm,
Oh my gosh. I
yeah,
can't even tell you
I know,
how much I have got the biggest girl crush on her.
I know.
Just
She's just,
talk about a goddess
yeah,
in
I
the
got it.
industry.
She is.
Like,
For our industry, she really is. I mean,
yeah.
young groomers today don't even know how much she has
Oh,
done for our industry.
it's
It's amazing.
and
Patsy
yeah,
Patsy
go ahead.
Edmondson, who was also a grooming school teacher in Texas,
Yeah,
and you'll
she's
still see
where
her.
I at Pam's show.
Yep, she comes to Pam's show,
She
so
is
she's a Stitch,
adorable.
right?
Oh my
She's
gosh,
she's this
absolutely love her. Yep,
charming older woman now, and
yep.
she's a full of life and love. She's amazing. Um, but like every time I went to a conference and heard Terry Becker DiMarino,
Yep.
Terry DiMarino, every time I heard her talking, I was just, gaga. And I went up and introduced myself and made sure I, established went to see her classes. But honestly, the first grooming educator who took my head and went, and turned it in a different
Yep.
direction, the
Yep.
right direction,
Yep.
was Michelle Knowles, without a doubt.
Our very
She,
own.
yeah, Michelle Knowles.
Our
She
very
actually was the one that got me really understanding the science part of it. Like, to me,
Mhm.
it was just dog breeds and dog show type of stuff. I never got into anatomy and skin and coat and stuff like that, which I'm totally obsessed with now. So I would definitely say, a critical mentor for me was definitely Michelle Knowles. She's amazing.
She's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say any of you are
Mhm.
not any good. Like you guys are the bomb, but
Well, if I'm doing anything right, it's because I've listened to all the smart people and people today, like, Corinna Stanworthy, and just, there are so many great teachers who I just absolutely worship and adore, that are just gifts to our field. And Jonathan David, I mean, I could listen to him talk all day long. He is the best groomer, bar none, and he's a fantastic grooming educator,
mhm.
in terms of actually how to do things stylistically with the
The
dog. So
actual
yeah,
cuts. Yeah,
hands-on.
the
And I
presentation.
also really, really love and admire, and didn't really meet until just a couple of years ago, but in terms of her book, her early book, is Carla Addington Smith. She
I was
actually,
waiting for you to say her.
yeah,
Okay.
she
Thank you.
really,
Yes.
her early introduction to the foundations of dog grooming, which is of course kind of out of date now, but that was a really, really pivotal book for me too. She really got
Mhm.
me thinking about, the way that safety blends with choices that you make with the dogs, and integrating the art and the science. She has chapters on the art of bathing and the science of bathing. Like, those are, both important things to think about. So,
Yeah.
I,
It's a great
I'm,
book. If anybody,
mhm,
I'm gonna go while you're talking and see if I can find the
put the
link
link
to
up.
post
Yeah.
because her book is
Yeah. And
fantastic.
it's 30 years old at this point, but she
It
was the
is,
first
but
person ever to publish a list of, when I came out with the 15 code types, it was all for me, academically. I mean, I'm an academician, and I know how to write a paper academically correctly. You don't, whoever publishes first on the topic, they get the credit for that idea. She was the first groomer to ever publish a list of code types. 7 of them. I've enhanced it. I went to her and I said, I want to build on your list. Is that okay? She said, oh yeah, that's great.
yeah.
So, yes, she's the first to actually say, we need some names and some standardization of understanding with
Yeah.
grouping. Yeah.
What was the name of the book?
Introduction to the Foundations of Dog Grooming by Carla Addington Smith, CMG. Carla Addington Smith and I, and Melissa Verplank, and another amazing mentor, someone I just admire. I think we all got our master groomers in 1985. I think we're all kind of the same age, same generation. Um, so that book is that the Introduction to the
I
Foundations of Dog Grooming. I'm not even sure it's in still current
I
print
was
anymore.
gonna say I
Yeah.
am not finding it. No,
So,
I have a copy at the shop.
mhm.
Introduction.
And I still use parts of it. There are some parts of it that are out of date, like the guillotine style nail clippers and stuff. Those things are not, widely
Oh,
used anymore.
it's got it.
Yeah.
Found
Did you
it.
find them? Oh,
Yes,
good.
I'm gonna post this link, ooh, for all of our viewers because it's just, and
And there's
personally,
no grooming in it. There's no hair cutting. It's all
nope,
foundational. It's
foundational.
bathing, drying,
Yep,
conditioning, nails, ears, dematting, anatomy, basic anatomy, very, very basic. So, but it's a great starter book. Yeah.
It is, and I'm a book junkie, so
Yeah, me too.
anybody who says, "I got a book," I'm like, "I want it," because
Yeah.
I love books. I
Yeah,
love
you and I
books.
are the same on that regard. In fact, you and
Mhm.
I have fallen in love with the same, like the Lost History of the Canine Race. That one,
Oh
just
my god,
I
that
know
book is
it's like you're just like this is
amazing.
so cool, right?
That I've read that book so many times, I've had to buy multiple copies of it to just rebind because it just
The
is
ultimate
such a
history
great book.
of dogs book.
The
Yes.
ultimate, that is it. Oh, and some of them I get tear jerked in some
Mhm.
of the chapters, it's like, oh,
I
it's
know you think,
so
wow,
yeah,
dogs and us, like, again, it's just that deepened appreciation when you understand what they have done with us and for us and us with and for them in history. It's goosebumps. It's really wonderful.
yeah. So, what is for our viewers and people that are interested in this? Because I know there are a lot, and this part of this online course that we've created and all of these diplomas that you guys have had. One question that keeps coming back is, and what comes into the school a lot is, I got into this because I'm not a bookworm. I wasn't good in school, I'm not a studious but what's one advice or some advice that you would give to somebody that would say, this is why you need this?
Need to take these classes. Yeah.
Yes.
Because grooming is a very complex skill. It is not what, unfortunately, too many people that have not embraced the complexity of it. There's a lot of people that just think shaving down everything, same shampoo, same shave down, shave it, same shampoo, no conditioner, whatever. There's a lot of bad grooming that goes on in the
Mhm.
country, and it's because they don't know anatomy. They don't know differentiation of coat types. They don't know why the different breeds have different coat types. They don't know the genetics. They don't know, and you don't have to be a geneticist to understand the basic genetics that I will teach in my class, where
Mhm.
you learn about the variants of the coats and what causes them and what they do to the coat, and then what you have to, as a groomer, do differently to that dog because of that. And it's not overly hard to comply with. But if you don't at least want to do a surface basic of anatomy, coat genetics, how the dog became, why the dog's coat looks like
Why?
that.
Yep.
There's a reason why a golden retriever has a short, flat lying back and a skirt underneath. There's a
Mhm.
reason for that, and it's uh, it has to do with its function and what it was bred to do and what environment it was working in and what its skill set is. So the canine science class is really about learning about the unique kind. I mean, dogs are all one species, but it is the most diverse species on land. There's a sea worm that's more diverse in appearance, but the on
Oh,
land
I wouldn't have
on
known that,
land,
but wow.
dogs are for a single species. They're
Yep.
all Canis lupus familiaris, but
Yep.
on land, they are the most diverse. Think about the difference
Mhm.
between a Chihuahua and a Saint Bernard, okay?
Yeah. Yep.
And knowing
Yeah.
that they're all the same species. And yet, but there's differences in their coats, there's
Right.
differences in their anatomy, and if you don't do a little bit of study about that, and you don't have to be a bookworm, you don't have to be super academic. These are Zoom interactive courses. The PowerPoint
Mhm.
presentations are highly visual. We speak our way through
Yeah.
assessments. Most of the major assessments in my classes are presentations where you talk
Mhm.
about things. You don't have to write a paper. You don't have to research, with footnotes and all that stuff. It's a class that's practical, a
Yep.
class that is going to give you a great appreciation for the diversity of skills needed to be a groomer. And I think that people who don't do some groomer education, whether it's my class or the esthetician class through Whole Pet, or whether it's behavior things, or in any aspect of caring for dogs, if you don't do some professional education, you know, I mean, I would just liken it unto a doctor. Okay. Let's say that a doctor goes to med school, gets their doctor, starts practicing medicine. And, 10 years later, there's some changes in the science, which does happen, right? If
It
that
is.
doctor
Yeah.
wasn't required to do continuing education, he might really mess up on you,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that what I love about what you've done, Dara, with the Whole Pet Academy is that you've created an educational program that is accessible to anybody, and is going to be interesting. And it's also, going to give people good choices about ways they can make more money by doing what they
That's
do
our goal
better.
also, is to
Yeah.
help everybody in our viewer that we're giving you the
The
power to do
tools
that.
to
Yep.
charge more and be better at what you do and make more
Yeah.
money. Yeah.
So, but yeah, well, it is tough. I know people are nervous and afraid of taking the next step. So, um, where do you see this going? We've got a
Um,
class. We've got
yes.
we if you want to talk about we're just finished your
Well, I
first
have
10
the
hours.
introduction, group breeds and coat types, which is just a 5-hour class.
Mhm.
Although I think we took a little more time because we were really having a good time chatting. I do live interactive
Yes.
Zooms,
Well,
and
let me just say, that is that
mhm,
particular 5-hour course for everybody who has taken your
Canine
2-hour
Science. Yeah,
class at, trade shows. This
way more in
is
depth. Way
the
more in depth.
course
Yes.
of that 2-hour class.
Yes. So if you've taken the 15 coat types
Yeah.
class, this will be a much more in-depth version where we will talk about every single AKC breed and some of the
Mhm.
primitive breeds that are globally recognized. And we'll really get in depth on why dogs in certain groups, the AKC groups, what are their functions. And so groups, breeds, and coat types is amazing. It actually kind of, I guess I should say, was at first for me a shock to learn as a person who came to the grooming world from the dog show world. It was surprising to me how many people in grooming don't know a PBGV from a Manchester Terrier. Um,
Mhm.
I sort of think if you don't know your breeds of dogs, and every country has a slightly different list. But if you don't know the breeds of dogs, I mean, it's just, to me, it's just like being a competent professional in your industry.
Yeah.
I've had people walk into my grooming salon with a breed of dog that they just said, well, I don't know, I rescued it, and they said it was just a hound mixer, or they said it was a terrier mix or something. And I said, actually, this just happened like a couple of weeks ago. A woman walked in with a dog that was clearly a Petit Basset Griffon Vendienne, or a PBGV. It's in the hound group. It's an
Yeah.
AKC breed. It was absolutely a PBGV. And she said, and I said, oh my gosh, what a beautiful PBGV. And she goes, oh no, they just told me it was a terrier hound mix. And I said, well, where'd you get it? And she told me, but she got it from a animal rescue and rehoming volunteer group. These are people who, are pet professionals. Some of them have full-time jobs at it, and they didn't know that breed of dog. They didn't know it. Um, I think you have to know your breeds to be a
Yeah.
groomer. Yeah. And so you'll
You
know your
gotta,
breeds at the end of that
yeah,
class. Yeah.
you gotta know your breeds. That is
Mhm. And,
pounded into those heads.
doodles, even all the mixed breeds and the Cavapoos and the, Cavachons and all of
Yeah.
the, Yorkie poos and all the mixes that are so popular are still crosses of those breeds.
Right.
And you need
Right.
to know the
Yeah.
coats, like what's going to happen if you cross a long coat to a curly coat,
Yeah.
and how's that going to change your grooming?
Yeah. No, you're yeah, that is That is it. So
It's relevant.
it is. Yes. Yes.
And then the
Well,
next level, do you want
yeah,
me to
yeah.
talk about the next level? So then the
You can.
next
Yep.
level, we're going to get into, then we get, we really have fun with the next level up in the first level of it. If you go beyond the groups, breeds, and coat types and take the full 10 hours of the level one, you're going to actually get into more global breeds, primitive breeds. We're going to start talking more about primitive coat types and also looking at introduction to sort of just understanding the evolution of the dog, how the dog evolved. And then we get much more in depth to evolutionary history of the dog in the in the second and third levels.
Second and third levels. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a very in-depth course, but it's all a virtual classroom.
Yes,
That's
and
the
you will
key to
come
this
out
class.
of it
This is
knowing
what I
dogs
wanted to
really,
do.
really well.
Yeah.
Part of what we do is not history of dogs. It's current stuff, like new discoveries that are
Yeah.
being made right now by people studying dogs, and they're finding
Mhm.
out things about eye contact and how you talk to them and what muscles in your face they're reading. And,
Mhm.
there's all sorts of exciting new science to help you do your job better and to use new discoveries. This isn't all just about the history of dogs. This is also about current scientific discoveries. I mean, it's amazing just the stuff they've uncovered in the last couple of years. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I keep up with the of because I really like nutrition and more nutrition for my creatures than
It's important.
for myself,
Yeah.
but yeah, I like the nutrition aspect of everything, and it's definitely we're getting there. It's slow in the
Yeah.
race, but we're getting there.
Yeah,
So
I think we are. I think we are raising I think people are becoming more and more conscious of
mhm,
the important role that the dog plays in the human world. And I think people are becoming more conscious about paying attention to scientific discoveries about how we communicate. And I
yeah.
mean, there's just fascinating studies. There was studies about how we can read each other's language. That is it's just the coolest thing ever, and it's
Mhm.
stuff that you can use practically in your
Yes.
day-to-day work.
Well, I as soon as I get non-business time, I so want to take your full class.
Oh,
That
it would
is
be an honor.
that's my goal. I don't, I'm not I love the history and the science and to about what you do. So for me, I love all the other classes that are offered, but this one calls to me
Oh,
um
that's great. Well,
in
I'm
the
so glad
industry.
that you're
So
offering it. It's really it's a very
it
enrich
is.
nice diverse spread of things that you're offering.
Yes, and we
I'm gonna write 2 books, I've decided,
two
before I
books. We've
die.
got two books. Okay.
I have 2 books in me. One of them
All right.
is going to be the 15 co-types in
Yeah.
the book form, which is
Yeah.
coming. I've already written 4 chapters and had my mom not gone through hospice and stuff last year, and my caring for her, I would have had it done by now. So 2022, I will finish that book. And then
Cool.
I just feel like I'm probably the best person to write the history of dog grooming, which has never been written.
Yeah.
And I know Terry DiMarino had started a project trying to document the 20th century history of dog grooming, which is
Mhm.
fascinating. But somebody needs to write it down. And I think that with the graduate degrees in education and history,
Yep.
and this love for the field, I think that I'm probably going to write that book too. So,
I wouldn't mind working with you on that if you
oh, I
wanted
would
some
love to
help.
work with you on that, Dara.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to hold you to that.
Yep. That is
That would be cool.
that
Yeah,
I love those books. So
yeah, yeah. And
but
we
all
promise
right.
to all of you that don't like wordy academic-y books, you'll like this will be fun.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, this
this
is
will
a
be
good
fun.
thing. So,
Did you know that
well,
ladies used to have to, in the 1950s, women dog groomers had to wear high heels, stockings, nylons, and skirts, dresses to
to
groom
go to
in.
work.
Yeah, no.
I do that
I don't know.
today.
I know.
No, there have been times. Some of my other
Mhm.
employees can vouch. Yeah, she's shown up in heels and groomed. You do
Well,
what you gotta do.
really? Wow.
Yeah,
That's because you have a busy life. You didn't have
yeah,
time to change.
you gotta when the call is comes in and goes, "We need help," you gotta be there, so
Yeah.
but alright, well, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you,
Um,
Dara.
we are going on, and I did post this on your page as well,
Oh,
so
great.
yes, hopefully we will get some, and we are looking at a start date, we said the other night, um,
For what? For the
April
next
for the next.
yes, for the next, new class
Yes, to
intake, yeah.
start
Mhm.
was the first week
Yeah.
of April. So, if anyone is interested in starting, you do not have to do the entire program. The program is available. If you're
Yeah, you
looking
can
for
do
the
it in
15 coat
pieces.
types extended, you can start with the 5 hours, work your way
Yep.
through the entire program, and go as far as you want. So,
Yeah.
the sky's the limit with these classes, right?
Well, thanks for making that
Yeah.
possible, Dara. You're the, you know, you're the ultimate educator because you empower and create the space for others to do the learning and teaching, and bless you for that.
I like having the best on around me,
Yeah.
and you guys are all the best. So thank you. I appreciate that. And I will see you. I might not see you on Monday. Lori is going to be hosting the show, but um,
Well, I hope that I'm sure it'll be totally cool, and Lori's quite the find. Good for you,
she's a good one. Yep. Yep.
and
So
hopefully you're doing something wonderful with a horse or your husband who you didn't get to see very much this last year.
it's our 10-year anniversary. So
Aw, happy anniversary. That's great.
yeah, it'll be our 10-year anniversary. We did the Hokey Mary on Valentine's Day for
Nice.
our
Bill and
second
I are
marriage. So
celebrating 20 this August, so
20 years. Yep.
yeah,
That's
I
good.
know.
Longevity,
Yep,
it's not
absolutely.
there that often. So when it's there,
Yeah,
embrace it. But
absolutely. Well, thank you again for
all
all you
right. Thank
do.
you, everyone who's watching. Thank you so much. And I am going to say we have who is coming up next. Let's see. This week it's all about you guys. So my next, oh, I got to go through all my notes here. On looks like February 13th at 12 Eastern Standard Time, I am interviewing Melissa Conti Diener.
She's the
She
sweetest
is the
person.
queen of holistic.
Yeah, she
So,
is so, and she's so incredibly kind and caring
yes,
and such a great person. Yeah.
Melissa is next. So, stay tuned on Sunday at noon Eastern to have the interview with Melissa. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Dara.
everyone who's joined us, and everyone have a great night.